Hey beautifuls, people have been missing me apparently and I've been missing you guys. It's been pretty friggin' intense for me here. Well, here's okay. I'm like in the middle of the outback now, but the past few days to get here have been really quite full on. So let me just share this as always, and like I'm fully back on deck today, guys. This was not a planned trip. So yeah, that's why it's been a little bit, and I feel like I'm fully back on deck today, but I really need to like come and just share about everything before I even start properly, because I need to get this off my chest. I've like been holding this in for like over a week, I reckon. Because yeah, and I just did a live stream in my life purpose mentorship and the phone overheated, so I had to move location. I'm like, right, we're in the outback, that's right, phone overheats here too, got it. So say hi, hello Matthew, say hi when you're here, guys. Yeah, I just need to get this off my chest. I need to share. It's been pretty intense. I want to talk about trusting your intuition, taking it to the next level, like huge. So I'm just grabbing the links to share this, and then I'll be completely present with you guys. And I'm curious if you're on the Sunshine Coast or on the East Coast of Australia, how you guys are holding up, because I feel like it's only just beginning, all these storms and stuff. So yeah, it's pretty intense. And it's kind of interesting. Like I feel a little bit nervous sharing this, just in a sense of like, I've really had to trust my intuition on this, obviously, of course. And then it's almost like, it's not that bad at the same time, but I'm like, it kind of is, you know? And I just, yeah. So let me just grab these links, and then I can be fully present to share what's been happening and what made me get in a car within 3 days and drive away from the Sunshine Coast very fastly, I should say. Okay. Yay, it's letting me doing it with ease, of course. Okay, so I've got these up here so I can see the comments as well in case something goes up. So like I said, I just need to share. Of course, like, please ask me questions. Please tell me how you guys are feeling. I know there's a lot of you guys who are around the world, not just on the East Coast of Australia. But it's been quite intense. Obviously, we've had all the fires and like, and I just want to point out, and you know, I am nervous to share this because I personally feel like me packing up and leaving the coast because of the storms coming, because of the cyclones, is actually, how do I say this? Like, I feel like it's bigger for me, and it's more, this is going to sound so selfish, it's more about me than it is about anything else. Like, in a sense, I'm like, I don't know why my intuition told me to pack up my house and put everything in a shipping container and get in the car with our 5 animals and my daughter and leave. Like, do you know what I mean? And I just want to point out that, you know, like, I've lived in Queensland for, what is it, like 16 years now. You're having a snowstorm right now. Yeah, okay, awesome. Is it like full on and scary, or is it like, it's okay? And I guess I ask you that because, you know, like I said, I've lived in Queensland for 16 years. I've lived in that house in Watala for 8 years. Like 8 years I've been in that house. And I have never, ever, I've never been worried, even with all the fires. I'm like, like, it wasn't a like, oh shit, it's all bad, and like, oh my God, like, it's never been like that. Like, I've always felt safe in the world anywhere, you know, and I've also always said that if my intuition, if I need to be shown something, my intuition will tell me. If I need to do something, my intuition will tell me, right? And I think the hardest part for me this past week, or a little bit more, has been because it's come through intuition, and I've had to follow my intuition before I got any reports of freaking anything, right? And like I said, I you know, like, I've lived in that house for 8 years. We've had many cyclones come through. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't even know there were cyclones at the time. I'm like, oh, there's a storm. Oh, it's raining. And like, my family on the other side of Australia is like, it's on the news. There's a cyclone. Are you okay? And I'm like, oh, it's a cyclone, is it? It's just like a big storm. Like, do you know what I mean? And at the moment, right now, a category 2 is headed, which is, you know, what I've lived in and through those storms before. Like, do you know what I mean? And so, so Tina says, so Matthew says big energy down here as well. Yeah. And you're in like Melbourne or something, aren't you, Matthew? In Victoria, from memory. Just correct me if I'm wrong. So Tina says, not scary, just snowing and blowing. I'm getting goosebumps listening to you speak of this. Yeah. And, you know, and this is the thing where, like, like I said, I'm not sharing this for fear. I'm not sharing for anything. I'm sharing, if you know, for you to trust intuition, if anything, always, right? And, you know, it's a bit like what I shared on whatever live stream or whatever, I don't know, whenever I did last week. I'm like, you know, your intuition, you know, you might be getting prepared to release a big launch or project or your business, or you might be getting prepared to do something about the natural disasters or whatever's coming. Like, it's up to you to tune into your intuition about what you're being guided to do. And I'm sharing this because, one, I need to share it because I'm just like, I've been holding this. I haven't told anyone because I didn't want anyone to freak out, and I was processing. And as I always say, I will always, you know, share when I'm ready. And I know I'm still processing now. So if I seem a little bit, like, we literally arrived yesterday. I'm in my birth town of Broken Hill, New South Wales, outback New South Wales. It's completely red dirt. It's full desert out here. I don't know if you can see out there. So, you know, and anyway, like I said, I've lived in that house for 8 years. I've never been worried about anything. I'm like, it's raining, it's whatever. And so let's rewind. So last week, so what's today? It's Thursday. So last Friday was when I made the decision to pack up. Now, before then, and this is like the biggest thing for me, like, I always trust my intuition, right? But me stepping up to trust my intuition to this level is like next level for me, because it's before last Thursday, I had no idea that there was cyclones or anything coming. Like, there was no reports, there was nothing. And 3 weeks prior to that, I kept getting the signs. I kept getting messages intuitively. Be prepared, get prepared, be prepared. Like, you know, and I'm like, oh, for what? And I even was saying to my mentor, I'm like, something big is happening in February. Like, I know something big's happening in February. You know, and I kept hearing be prepared. So I was just like, okay, maybe something's happening in my business, or I'm going to, you know, like whatever. Like, I just assume, because I'm like, that's what I do, whatever. And anyway, and so then, you know, I was telling her, and this be prepared, you know, and like I'd said to her, you know, I've got an online business. Like, if I had to get on a plane tomorrow and, you know, go for somewhere for work in the world or whatever, like, am I prepared to do that? And I'm like, well, no, I'm not, right? And you're going to talk about releasing energetic blocks, right? So for me, you know, like, I've built an online business so I can get up and leave, you know, not like out of fear or from a natural disaster, for fuck's sake, but just like have the freedom to be able to go to Sydney for lunch or something, right? Sort of thing, yeah? Am I that ready to be able to do that? Now, if I really think about, like, if I was to pick up my laptop, my handbag, get on a plane and go, am I in a place where I could do that? And I was like, well, no, actually, because I need to have somewhere for my animals. Well, I need to get them updated with the, you know, tablet, like worming or like whatever, like, you know, like things that needed to get done, like just bits and pieces, right? Like, if I was to get up and leave tomorrow, am I ready? And I was just like, well, no, because this and this and this. And I'm sharing this on a like energetic block in your business or your life, and you're like, why isn't this working? You know, you're trying to work for this thing, but it's like all this other shit isn't sorted out. Like, it's really important, guys, right? So for the past 3 weeks, I've been kicking my ass and getting into gear. Now, it's also the fact that you guys know where I usually film at home with my, you know, in my office, and my dream catcher's behind me. I've got a desktop computer. Now, I've been building my business online. I've been sitting at that desk for quite some time, so everything's on there. So if I was to pack up and leave tomorrow, I'm like, most of my stuff's on my desktop. So for the past 3 weeks, be prepared, you know, if I had to pack up and leave. And it wasn't out of fear, guys. This is not out of fear, right? And it's like, I needed to, you know, so I have been going through documents and computer and just like, oh my God, this has been built up for ages, and finishing bookkeeping and just all the bits and pieces, right? Like, I've been listening and I've been getting prepared in this way, right? And so when I look at it, I was just like, okay, cool, you know, and it was just like, okay, if I'm, you know, need to go like for work or whatever, what else do I need to do? Okay, the animals need sorted. Okay, this needs to be done. I need to do this for myself, like whatever, like all those things. Again, this was still purely on intuition. I'm like, be prepared. I'm like, cool, something big's happening. Like, you know what I mean? Like I literally have been saying it to my mentor and everything. And anyway, it would come and go, and it's not like it was in my ear and like, oh, it was on my mind and obsessive. It was just like little bits and pieces over the past 3 weeks, well now 4 weeks. And so it was probably about 2 weeks ago now, I took my dogs for a walk on the beach. I know this sounds silly, but you know, like I always used to walk that stretch with my dogs on the beach. We used to drive to the beach, go for a walk, and there's this particular place where we walk down to and turn around and come back. You know how you kind of have your marker where you walk and you kind of turn back or whatever. And, you know, I hadn't done that walk with them for ages, it seemed like, for months, you know, because I got a new car, and so I don't take them in the car that much. I know it sounds silly, because, you know, my German Shepherd, she loves swimming, and then she's like full of water, and if you know a German Shepherd coat, it is just thick. Anyway, so I've still been walking them, but I've been walking to the beach, not driving there and walking on the beach. So anyway, you know, and so it was like 2 weeks ago I walked to the beach, and it's just little things like this. Again, I still didn't know, I didn't have any confirmation of any cyclone, whatever. I know back in August, I said on live stream at one point, I'm like, there's floods coming. And, you know, and someone else said, yeah, I feel that too. I think it was Terry. She's on the live stream at the same time. And she said, I feel that too. There's floods. There's a lot of water coming. I was like, okay, cool. I'm not the only one. And that was back in August. And then all the fires happened. And I was like, oh, I don't know. I don't know why I got that message, you know, and I just kind of brushed it off. I was like, well, I don't know, right? Now when we look at what's happening, I'm like, right. So anyway, back to walking on the beach. I walked on the beach with my dogs, and I was like, oh, this is nice, isn't it, dogs? We haven't done this stretch for ages. And where, like, the marking point where I walk up to on the beach and turn around is like there's like, you know, up on the sand dune, there's like a bench seat, you know, like a seat you sit on. And, you know, it's been there forever. And there was no one else on the beach, of course. That's why I love that beach. And walking along and like getting closer to it, like I'm like squinting, and I'm like, what is that? Like, and literally there was like a man, like, you know how like there's like the warrior stance, like, and he's like, it's coming. And I'm like squinting, you know, it's pointing out to the ocean. I'm squinting going, the fuck? Like, you know, and I'm like walking along trying not to look, but you know, and I'm like, and then I walk closer. There's no one there. And I'm just like, all right, come on, dogs, go back now. And I was like, that's a bit weird, you know, like, and anyway, I didn't think much of it because, you know, I see visions and stuff all the time. I don't really think much of it. And I was like, anyway, fast forward a week, right? This is last Thursday. No, let's go to Tuesday. So last Tuesday, right? Not just Tuesday 2 days ago. I'm talking about last Tuesday. I found myself, you want to talk about doing your intuition? I found, and I'd actually had this thought in my head for the past, like 3 weeks, to ring Dad and ask him about like a jerry can of fuel, and like I kept getting this thing like, ring Dad, ask him about jerry can of fuel, like, you know, like, and I'm like, what the fuck do I need a jerry can of fuel for? Like whatever's, you know. Anyway, I think I did call him, but on Tuesday I literally like found myself in the shop, like at the car shop, Super Cheap Auto, and like was just standing in front of the jerry cans, you know, looking, and like I snapped out of it. I was just like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I don't need this. Like, do I need this? Like, what do I need this? Like, what am I here for? I was just like, okay, I know where it is. I can come back tomorrow. You've got work to do. Like, go home, Hannah. And it was just, you know, that you're, when I talk about doing your intuition, like as a highly clairsentient person, you're already doing it before you become conscious of it. Like, that is most of the time. That's why a lot of people think that they're not intuitive. They're not, you know, all of that. And I'm just like, you know, anyway, so that happened. That was Tuesday. the next day, you know, because as I was driving home, I was just like, oh, you're just picking up on all the fear, Hannah, you know, like the coronavirus and the fear and the collective. I'm like, you're just picking up on all of that stuff. It's all good. Just go home. Like, you know, that was what was going through my head, like talking myself out of it, right? And, you know, even the next day, and I saw a lot of you guys were like needing support, and that's when I come on and I did that live stream last week, and I said to you guys, I was like, if my energy's off, I'm processing something, I'm not ready to share it, but I'm just letting you know that I've got stuff going on. This is what it was about. Like, you know, there's other things as well, but this is, you know, a big part of it. And I was just like, you know, because I was like, okay, when I feel better, I'm going to do a live stream. And then I saw you guys and I'm like, no, I need to live stream now, right? Anyway, and so I did, I live streamed, and then, you know, and then it started to dissipate, like that fear, because it was really still there. And I was like, oh, Hannah, you're just picking up the collective, you're picking up the, you know, like that's what I kept putting it down to. And then on Thursday night, or Thursday evening, it was Thursday about 6 o'clock or something, because I could still feel it. I was a little bit, and I'm like, oh, it's just the coronavirus fear collective stuff, just picking up, you know, don't stress about it, Hannah, that's all it is. And then on Thursday night, somebody sent me the link for like a weather report thing, and that's what I shared in the Reality Awareness support group. And I'm like, oh, there's cyclones coming. Now, I want to remind you that I've lived in that house for 8 years. I've lived in Queensland for 16 years, and I have never, ever been worried about a natural disaster, about a cyclone, about any of it. Like, like I said, I've always felt intuitively safe everywhere I go. Like, that's just how I feel. So when my intuition has been for 3 weeks saying all these things, and then, you know, and then on the Thursday night, like this, like 3.5 weeks later, like I get that little tiny like thing of the cyclone, and I was just like, I just like froze in a way. I was just like, that's what you know. And like rarely does a cyclone come this far down the coast of where I live, you know, where I was living in Queensland, right? Of course they come, but again, and I've never been worried about them, and I'm just like, well, okay. But I froze, and I was just like, oh my God, this is what it is. And I'm like frantically looking around. I was like, well, I can't do any more work tonight. Like I was just like, and so I'm like, you know, looking around, you know, like trying to find, you know, things, you know, trying to find like more information on it or whatever. And I'm just like, you know, I was just like, oh my God, this is it. And I was just like, okay, what do I do? And I was trying to figure it out, you know, in this thing. And I'm just like, okay, log off work. You can't do any more work on this. Go and have a shower. Just have a shower and just, right? And so I had a shower, and if you guys are in Trust Intuition, you'll know that I always talk about my showers are where I get a lot of intuition that comes through, a lot of messages from spirit, maybe because I can hear, maybe because I'm cleansing myself, whatever, right? And so I, you know, I hopped in the shower, and the message came through. It reminded me of the vision that I had at the beach of seeing the man at the beach set, or like on the bench seat, pointing out to sea, it's coming. And like, I'm in the shower, you know, I'm just like, okay, it's okay, just calm down. And, you know, when I did, you know, and then I kind of got out of the shower, and I was just like, oh my God, like I didn't even click until I got out of the shower. I'm like, oh, Hannah, that's where you always get the messages, in the shower. And you just got shown the reminder of the vision on the beach. And I'm like, do I have to leave? Am I leaving? You know, and I'm just like, because intuitively I also knew if I was to leave, I would have to, like, I just kept getting intuitively. I'm like, if I was to leave, I'd have to pack up and leave on Monday. Like I knew that intuitively. I knew that. Like that was just how and what it was. Like that was, this is my intuition talking, right? And so I also knew had to hold the full moon ceremony on Sunday night. You know, Saturday I had to work, and then Friday was the only other day. And I'm like, if I, you know, and this is Thursday night going through my head, I'm like, if I, like, I knew I had to leave Monday morning. I'm like, if I have to leave, it's Monday morning. I have to, anyway, so I'm like stressing, freaking out. And the thing is, and you know, and it's not like, oh, something bad's coming and everyone's gonna die. Like, you know, it's not that. It's like, this is me on a deeper level, trusting my intuition that has no hard evidence or proof that, yeah, it's been raining on and off last week, right? And then the sun would come out, and then I'd be like, is it coming? Do I really, like, do you know what I mean? Like, to pack up my entire house into the shipping container and then get as much work as done as I can to then get our 5 animals, so my 2 dogs, my 2 cats and our parrot and my daughter in the car with the essentials and drive 2,000 kilometers west. Like, and this is the thing, like, I was just like, and I was like, am I doing this? And I'm like, it's okay, Hannah, just go to sleep. And on Friday morning, you will wake up, like the next morning, you'll wake up and you will just know. And of course I woke up and I'm like, I have to leave. And it was, you know, because I knew if I was actually going to leave, I had no choice but to pack up my house on Friday. Well, actually, of course, there's always a choice, right? But I'm like, I have to do it today if I'm going to do it. Now, of course, it rained overnight and then the sun came out. And I was really grateful because I'm like, if I have to pack everything up into the shipping container, can I please have some sun? And I got my wish, like that was granted, right? But then I'm also, that you can imagine, I'm like everything in boxes as fast as I could. I had some help. I'm so grateful for that. And it came out of nowhere as well. And this is the thing, I'm like, you know, I'm like, that offer just came out of the blue. I'm like, I said, yes, of course. It took me 2 hours with that help. It would have taken me 6 on my own. So I'm so grateful for that help. Everything, the sun is shining, putting everything in storage, like in the shipping container, because they're pretty strong, right? So I'm all good with that. Thank goodness we even had that, right? And it's just like, you know, I'm driving back from the last trip to the shipping container and I'm just like, the sun's shining and everyone's normal. And I'm just like, you know, because everyone thought I was crazy who I told, right? And I'm like, hey guys, like there's a category 4 cyclone, right? Well, I didn't actually know at that time. I'm like, the cyclones are coming, right? And I'm driving back Friday afternoon from the shipping container, sun shining, just questioning myself, like doubting my intuition, right? Which I say not to do, right? And then I was just like, can I please, like, can I have a sign? Like, can I please have a sign? Because it's like beautiful sunny skies. Anyway, that night I got sent another link, and you know, like at that time when I got sent that link, that report was, it was category 4 cyclones on its way, and not just 1 but 2, 3. Like I shared it in the group, right? And then I watched on another report, like there's possibly when the first cyclone comes down, which is still due to hit like today, like tomorrow, like Saturday, Sunday, like this weekend, right? Hasn't hit yet. It hasn't hit yet. And right now, Sunshine Coast is already flooding. Like there's, like it's already flooding. Like Sunshine Coast and all that place, like I want to say too, guys, like all the places that are flooding now, they're like prone to flooding like that, you know, even out west of like Brisbane and stuff, like they're floodplains. Like that is what that country does, you know what I mean? So it's kind of not out of the blue, like it's their floodplains, yeah. But I've lived there before and it's all flooded, and I've never been told by my intuition to get out at the same time, you know. So anyway, Friday night I got sent, you know, another link. You know, I was like, it's okay, Hannah. Well, even if you don't end up going, well, you're just gonna have to unpack the storage shed. Like, what's the worst that could happen, right? And I'm like, just let it go. It's all good. But at least if you have to go, you're prepared, right? And so anyway, I tried to continue working, but then I got sent the link on Friday night of the like category 4 cyclones. And it was like, if that first cyclone comes down, there's a possibility of it pulling the other cyclone from Cape York, like it's like Papua New Guinea, Cape York, and it will come down as well, either dissipate or it will, you know, combine and create, you know, but there's still another 2 on the way and blah, blah, blah. So as it stands right now, apparently the forecast is that the current first cyclone is only going to be a category 2 and it's actually not going to even make the coast. But there's all the flooding and the rain and the winds and everything that will cop from that there. But so anyway, I knew that on Friday night I was like, okay, there's my confirmation. Thank you. I just, you know, like the sun is shining and I'm fucking, it was just like, oh my God, right? Anyway, so I was planned to work all day Saturday. And I didn't finish all the errands that I needed to do, you know, with animals and all sorts of things on Friday. And I was like already feeling, I'm like, there's no way I can sit down and work and concentrate when I haven't finished the errands and stuff. So I changed my work schedule around because I can. And I finished all the errands on Saturday and finished packing up everything. And then on Sunday, I just, you know, got work done and what have you. But it's been really intense because, like I said, obviously, I'm going purely on intuition here. And it was a little bit hairy, and I'll just read this comment. So Diane says it's been really windy here in the UK. My kids have been offered a new school but reluctant to go, and one of them has been re-traumatized by a teacher and cannot be alone. Yes, crazy energy. I'm trying to follow my intuition, but I'm struggling so much. Yeah, so I don't know if you've been, like how long they've been at the school. I mean, like anyone, I just want to say that about your comment, Diane. Anyone can get used to anything, but whether it's right or not comes from your intuition. About right for you, about what you need to do, comes from within you. Yeah, so like the first 2 weeks a day I was at prep, like at school. She did the first 2 weeks, and I could have pushed her through staying there and she would probably be at school today, but it didn't feel right for me to do that, and so I pulled her out. So yeah, that's what I'll say about that. But yeah, so you know, and it's been really big because like I said, I knew I had to leave intuitively. I might have to leave Monday. And the other part about it too is like on Saturday, you know, obviously I'm keeping a watch, you know, and I started freaking out on Saturday because the way that we came here last time, all down through northern New South Wales, all like that's all flooded. Like that had already flooded last week, well before we'd left. There was no way we were getting through there, and I'm like, we can't even go, you know, and I'm like, nah, there has to be a way. I'm like making a way possible, like, you know, and I like sat there until I found a way, right? And, you know, because I was like, there is no way that I'd be guided to pack up my house and to go if there wasn't a way. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm like, there's just not the same way we went last time, but there is a way. And anyway, I found a way out through Dalby and then straight across to Roma and then out to Charleville. And it was interesting because even like on Sunday, Dalby flooded. Like, you know, obviously I'm keeping an eye on it because I'm about to drive through all this. And, you know, someone shared an aerial photo of Dalby and it was just all flooded. And I'm like, oh, Dad, it's flooded. I'm like, you know, and then I was like, okay, so, and he's like, oh, just check it before you leave on Monday. And I'm like, okay. And then I started like, you know, I was like, well, floodwaters do recede as quickly as they come, you know, as quickly as they come, as quickly as they go, you know, in a way. And so I just didn't stress. I was like, you know, if I was like, you know, being guided to do this, there's a way. And so I just trusted. And, you know, first thing, you know, I didn't even look Monday morning. Well, I think I might have checked a little bit, but I also just didn't, you know, stress about it. I was like, you know, trucks, all of that. And like Dalby, you know, I was just like, there will be some sort of detour. I'm like, let's just go, Hannah, you know? And so I did. And there, you know, like, there was no floodwaters in Dalby that had all receded, you know, overnight. And I was like, okay, cool, we're through. And the scariest part was like from Dalby to Roma, because there was all these storms, you know, like there's several hours of driving and you could see the storms. And I'm like, just no hail, please. Like, that's all. I just don't want to get caught in a hailstorm. And yeah, it was just quite intense because I had the cats in the car. It was the first time they've traveled. The dogs were all good because they're used to it, but then the bird in the carry crate, like a parrot as well, and my daughter, and the cats were like, you know, just like one of them was all right and the other one was like freaking out and drooling, and I'm just like, oh. And then like there's potholes on the road because all the floods have been through, and there's debris on the road because like, and when we're driving through, I was like, you know, the water's like right on the bitumen edge, and I'm, you know, there's signs water over road, and it, like there wasn't, but I'm like, yesterday there would have been, and there's no way that we would have got through. Well, I wouldn't have driven through it, right? And I was just like, man, this is like so divine. And I don't know if you guys saw my story, those of you who are watching, but I shared like a photo on there like of this cactus, and it was like one place we stopped. I think it was the first time I ever shared something on my story. I just had to do it myself, and it was like this cactus, like this like dancing person cactus. Like I was like, that's a sign. Like they're celebrating, and I listened and got the fuck out of there. And hey guys. Hey, yes, thank you. Looks amazing, right decision. Yes, hi Renelle. I'm getting to all my workload. I was like, right, do all your workload and then live stream. And then I'm like, I need to get this off my chest and then I can catch up on my workload. So if there's unanswered emails, comments, messages, please know I'm coming. I just needed to get this off my chest. So yes, so my home that I just left was on the Sunshine Coast, in Brisbane. So it's an hour north of Brisbane, in Australia. in Queensland. So Tamsin says you're glowing. Auto correct changed that so many times to glowing, so I guess you're flowing too. Yes, flowing and glowing. Hey Holly. So yeah, so I just want to, you know, share that bit, and you know, the part about like when we drove out and I was going to stay at Roma, like, cause I was like already driven 5 hours or something. And I was, you know, it was like, and it's not just like, yeah, let's go for a road trip. It's like the cat's drooling, I'm stressing out. I'm like, is there flood? Is it going to hail? Cause you can see the storms on the horizon. Like it was intense, and like, you know, and then I'm like, it's okay, there's a clear path. You know, I just created that the whole way too. It wasn't like, oh, we're not going to get through. It was like, we're getting through and everything's going to wait and everything's going to move out the way and we're safe. And, you know, and I'm like, just go, right? And so it was quite, you know, it was amazing, you know, but once we got past, like, because once we got to Roma, I was like, okay, we're gonna stay here, but I could see these green clouds coming, and I'm like, and I like rang the next town, which is like another 3.5 hours away, and I'm like, have you got somewhere to stay? The animals? I'm like, we're leaving, we're going, and I'm like, get it out of here. And like it's just, it was like not laughing material. I was stressing out. But then when we left, like out of Roma, there was like water over the road, and I was just like, fuck, get me out of here. And then I was just like, get out of here, like go. So we got to Charleville. And it was kind of interesting, right? From Roma to Charleville was just on, you know, like a massive, that energetic cloud of the low pressure system. Like I could feel it when we stepped out of that. And I was just like, oh, there we go. There's that feeling. I feel better now. Like, you know what I mean? I was just like, that was intense, man. Like, you know, and like I said, I've lived in that place for 8 years. I've never concern myself with any of this ever before, you know, and I've just been trusting my intuition. And like I said, it's, you know, and the other thing I want to point out, like I said, it's not like, oh, people are going to die. It's not like I need to leave. Like, it's not that. Like, I personally live in a old weatherboard house. It's got a tin roof, and the past few storms that have gone through in the past year, I'm like, is the roof going to come off? Is the roof going to come off this time? Like, do you know what I mean? Category 2 storms? Yeah. When I saw it was a category 4 cyclone, I was like, there is no fucking way this roof is staying on. Like, you guys know how close I live to the beach, right? Like, seriously, like, if that hits landfall, nah. I'd rather be out, thank you. And I knew if I didn't get out when I did, I knew we wouldn't be able to. Now, when we drove through Dalby, and I said that there was flood road, like water over the road, it would have been there the day before, and we wouldn't have got through. Like I heard the report, so we got to Charleville, like it was like 8.5 hour drive, like all the way out West Queensland. So we got there that night, and then the next morning I saw a report that in Dalby overnight, so we drove through Dalby, right? Overnight the river went from 1 meter to 4.6 meters. And I was like, I knew if we didn't get out yesterday, we wouldn't have got through. Like, what the fuck? Like, talk about trusting intuition, right? It's so freaking full on. So Sarah says, my last cat would travel like that, upside down, covered in foam and drama. Yeah, she wasn't too bad. Like, we got them out of the cage. Like, I knew they'd be just sit on our lap and they'd feel safer. So Daya was looking after them. One of them was fine. Like, she's like, dogs, if you guys see my story, it might actually still be on my story. I'd have to, maybe I can repost it on there. Oh, it should be on there. Anyway, you know, like she ended up being like a cat, you know, like we'd stop and I'd purposely, you know, just drive up someone's station driveway. So it's like off the highway. And so I could let the animals out. And like one of the cats, like midnight, she was the drool one. She didn't drool on the last day. So I think she's starting to get the hang of it. But, yeah, our other cat's just like a dog, and she'd get out and walk around with the dogs and run after them and stuff like that. She's rolling around in the red dirt, and I'm like, it's pretty, yeah, once it got used to it and whatever. So Tess says, as long as yourself and family are safe, yes, we are. So Missy says, yep, I'm in Brisbane right now, and 2 days ago was to get out of here by Friday, which I couldn't understand because I love it here, but you always listen without seeing why. Yes, exactly right. Hey, Dana Murder. So Misty says, yeah, it just has not stopped raining. I'm from Perth and I've not seen so much rain. Yeah, hey, Tammy. So yeah, it's been so interesting, you know, and like I just looked, obviously I've been following it a bit. I sort of stopped, you know, when I got here yesterday. We got here, so after 20 hours of driving in 3 days, so did 2 8.5, 9 hour stints on Monday and Tuesday. And then it was like 5 hours yesterday. But yeah, it's just like I just had to chill out yesterday, and I was just like, stop looking at all the rain and stuff, you're safe, just stop looking at it. And then people were messaging going, have you seen all the rain on the coast? And I'm like, I kind of stopped looking at it for a minute, but I had a look and I was just like, wow. So where I live in Watala, they had 150 mils like overnight, and like it's forecast for like 500 mils in the next 24 hours, you know, all through there. Coolum's already flooding, Nambour's flooding, like there's all places. So yeah. So Missy says, were you showing exactly where to go? Well, like this is my hometown in Broken Hill. Like I was born here. This is my dad's place, my dad and his partner's place. So yeah, it's like way out west. There's usually kangaroos. So where my dog is, can't really see because I think the light is thing, but there's usually kangaroos that come in and feed because it's so dry out here. My dad's been getting hay bales to feed the kangaroos, and there's been like, you know, like every evening they come in and eat all the hay. So yeah, if you keep watch on my story, you'll see all that stuff, no doubt. But yeah, so I didn't, you know, like I said, I didn't want to, you know, and someone said to me, oh, you feel safe out there? And I was like, well, you know what, like out here is flooded as well. You know, like Australia is, you know, kind of a country of extremes, right? We've got the animals and we've got the weather and whatever. And, you know, 20 years ago, they had massive floods out here. And, you know, my feeling is, well, you know, like with everything that's going on, so it's not like I'm like, yeah, we're staying here and everything's safe and dandy. It's kind of like, yeah, I'm just seeing where my intuition is guiding me to go next, or back home or whatever, because who knows. But, you know, I guess I just wanted to share and get stuff off my chest, because it's been the biggest thing that for 3 weeks was like, get prepared, be prepared. I'm like, for what? And it was so interesting, right? That Friday morning making that decision, you know, I even said to my mentor, I was like, remember I said to you like 3 weeks ago that something big's coming in February? And I was like, last night I got shown there's a cyclone, and I don't, you know, I thought I was picking up fear of the coronavirus and stuff, and I'm like, but, you know, now I got shown there's a cyclone. I'm like, that's what my intuition's been saying, you know. And like I said, guys, like it's, at the moment it's a category 2. It's not even going to hit the coast. And I'm like, maybe it's the floods. Maybe it's not even about any of that. And maybe it's about me and my journey and my processing. And by the way, I really have to add this, because this is the biggest part of it. Well, so far, of course, there's more, I'm sure. I've not been shown yet, but for the past 4 years especially, so 3.5, nearly 4 years, I've been building an online business to create the freedom, to have the freedom to travel whenever I want, whatever, right? Now, it's at this point where I'm like driving away from the coast, everything's in the shipping container, and I'm like, there's kind of a part of me that's like, we have no reason to go back. Like, yeah, everything's in a shipping container, but everything's in a shipping container. I've got all our animals with us. My daughter's here. We can just kind of go wherever we want. Like, we're on no time restrictions. My business is online. We can go, like, do you know what I mean? And I was just like, it actually is really, like, aside the fact of the puddles and the floods and the storms and the animals, and just like, it was like the sense of freedom that we could actually do that. That I've actually created a life and built my business, and it's thriving and it's growing every month, and every year it's getting bigger and expanding and, you know, like increasing in all ways, that I can actually do this now. And I'm like, this is actually what I've been working for, to have the freedom to do this. And, you know, even when we got our cats originally, I was like, are these travel cats? You know, like we got them back in May or something. I'm like, are you cats travel cats? Are you, you know, and then I'd stop saying it, and I'm like, you are travel cats. I'm like, where are we going next? I don't know. But anyway, it's just like being able to have the freedom to be able to do this. Like, you know, like if we'd left, you know, because usually when we go away, we have our animals in the, you know, what is it, like the kennels and stuff, or somebody's looking after them, but we've got all our animals with us, and the cats are, Mimi, hey, the cats are settling in pretty well, aren't ya? Mimi, this is the one that's like a dog. Dawn, walking around the place. So they're, you know, they've got the freedom to explore and yeah, it's quite amazing, right? So yeah, even, you know, and maybe that's what it is, because, you know, I did say this to a friend. I was like, I think this is, you know, like, I didn't want to get stuck in floodwaters, and I don't know, whatever. Like, you know, well, a big part of it, to be honest, like I said to my friends, I was like, I feel like it's just me, because if it is a category 4, there's no way my roof would stay on. Like, it's an old weatherboard house. Like, I'm just like, I would rather not wait around to find out. Like, you know, and, you know, and the other thing is, I wanted to travel, I wanted to do all these things, but it's like with, you know, like, I'm like, cool. Oh, but when I finish this work, oh, I'm too busy. Or, you know what I mean? Whereas this is like forced me, Spirit has forced me to go. And I was just like, if this wasn't happening, I wouldn't have packed up and left like that, especially putting everything in storage. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and the other side of it, I'm like, if I told people, my family, they would have, like, not necessarily my dad, but, you know, like, they would have gone, oh no, don't do that, and all the fear and stuff again. And I was like, you know, like, they, you know what I'm saying, right? So anyway, yeah. Okay. So let me check these comments. So Taz says, trusting your intuition, we all need to. Yes, yes. Yes, Amanda, it is beautiful. I was live streaming around the other side and the sun came up, because our cabin's actually around the other side, because I wanted that one around on the east so I could see the sunrise. And I was live streaming, and then the phone overheated, and I was like, oh, that's right, the heat. So that's why I'm sitting over this side. And it was so interesting, because our bed like looks out, like it's just all like, it's just that, right? But around the other side where the sun comes up. And last night I was almost asleep, and the cats kind of stirred me up, and I was just like, oh my goodness, what's, you know, what are they doing now? And I got my phone for the light, and then, you know, and I like laid back down, and I saw this orange like light out on the horizon. I was like, what the hell is that? Like, there's nothing out there, right? And then it was the moon rising up over the freaking like horizon, and it's just, you know, like direct over the horizon. I was just like, oh my God. I was just like, oh. I was like, this is what I live for. It was kind of amazing. What's going on? What's the matter? I've got a live audience, yeah. Yeah, okay, so Missy says, it's about how much we trust without seeing 3D and not being attached to anything. Like, honestly, like, this took me, you know, and I know this is just up to my intuition to the next level. Like, I've always trusted my intuition, right? Like, but this has been huge for me to pack up, be prepared, looking at jerry cans of fuel. Like, I never do that, you know. Anyway, and even when I said that to Dad, I was just like, you know, but what's an extra, like, you know, 20, I'm like, it's only 20 liters. And he's like, yeah, that'll get you an extra 100 Ks or so. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty far. Yes, thank you. Yes, it's my time to do what I have manifested. Exactly. Yes, so awesome. All right, so Tamsin says, I keep getting shown me living on an island, strong energy. I know I'm gonna be similar in the aspect of freedom and working online. Yes. That's what online gives you the freedom to do. Exactly. Yes, it pushed you to do it. Exactly. Yes, huge shifts. And I know energetically I did. And, you know, and to be honest, like, that house is old. Like, you guys know in my private groups, I'm like, right, new house. The other thing about it, right, and I haven't shared this actually, that, well, in my private groups, you guys know, like, the whole house situation, like, I have been trying to move house for freaking ages, yeah? Like, and this whole, you know, like, I apply for houses, like, the past 2 years this has been going on. I'm like, right, time to move house. Like, apply for other houses. I get knocked back. Like, I get so sick of applying for other places because I kept getting knocked back. And I'm like, okay, Spirit wants me here. No worries. Like, I will just stay here and I'll keep working. Like, that's what I was doing, right? And I got so frustrated, so, like, downhearted, so, like, crying, like, so many times, and I keep getting knocked back. Can you please take her away? It's too distracting while I'm working. It's like the dog's like in and out and the cords, and I'm like, yeah. So, yeah, and like, just, I was just like, right, well, Spirit wants me here. I'm supposed to keep working. And in this space, it's like, it is kind of interesting because when I was driving away, and this is, so I've felt trapped in that house. Like, I know it's like, well, we have the freedom to do and just move. And I'm like, yeah, but every time I've been trying to apply, I've not been, you know, and I didn't understand what that was. I'm like, oh, I'm just supposed to keep working, like whatever's. And so I kept doing that. But honestly, that house was really getting me down. And I know it's just a house and blah, 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 but it's old, man. And I was just like, I was just over it, like, you know, and just, you know, the owners, I say things need to be fixed and they didn't really fix them, because ultimately the whole thing needs to be gutted and renovated, or the whole building knocked down. Like, ultimately, you know, I've been there for 8 years and I'm blessed and grateful because we've been able to have all our animals and pretty much do whatever we want because of the state of it, right? So there's always blessings, silver lining, whatever. But in that space, it was very much like, it was really starting to get me down, and just like I felt, I don't know if suffocated is the word, but when I was driving out here, like once we got past all the storms and stuff, like yesterday's road trip was just on the dirt roads, just the ones that I love, right? I think I was born here, it's my blood and it's got it in my blood. But, and I started crying for a big chunk of the trip yesterday because I didn't realize how suffocated my soul felt in that house. Now, I don't know if it's that house specifically or the suburb or the entire Sunshine Coast. I don't actually know. But I also know how much better I feel out of it. Not just the storms, not just the water, not just the floods. Like, it's not, this is what I mean. It's not just about that. It's more than this. Like, do you know what I mean? And I'm not sure what exactly it is yet. But of course I'll always be shown. And of course you're going to hear the journey, right? But definitely that house, like I just, you know, it served its purpose, and there's a part of me that's like, I'm not going back to that house. Like, it would be suffocating for my soul to go back to that house. Like, of course, like our beds are still there, just that's the only thing really in the fridge. You know, and it's just like yeah, so when I was driving, I feel nervous saying this bit. So when I was driving, and I guess I know why too, like, you know, especially if you're in my Life Purpose mentorship group, you guys will know, like, you guys have got access to the exact journaling prompts that I use every day, have been writing for all these years I've been online, well, since 2017, journaling, like all the things, like you guys have heard in the Life Purpose mentorship exactly the journal prompts that I've been sharing. And they are far from the reality that I was living in that house. And I know that this whole situation is that I've been writing those affirmations for so long that, as I always say, there is only so much internal work we can do before the physical needs to shift. Now, I'm in the outback, and the outback is far from, I don't know, 5-star luxury. I'm sure there's places somewhere here, out here somewhere, but we're in the bush. We're in the outback. We're in old country towns. But the feeling of freedom and utter soul expansion, I just feel at peace. And I even said to my friend yesterday, I was like, I feel like I'm not in flight or fight mode. Like, as soon as I stepped out of that low pressure system and I like hit these roads out here, I was like, I feel different. Like, I don't know what it is, right? And I'm really paying attention to that, because last time we were out here in 2017 and we did do that road trip and we drove back, as we were crossing the New South Wales Queensland border, I was literally saying to her dad, I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't, you know, the closer we got back there, I didn't want to be there. Like, you know what I mean? And I had no choice to go back. Whereas now I'm like, I got a choice. So, he's not chasing the kangaroos, is he? Oh, it's Dad. It's pretty good with the kangaroos. So, yeah, and so it's just like this sense of freedom, right? So I better check these comments. You guys are commenting. Hang on. Let's talk all day. Thank you for listening. And I haven't finished yet. Oh, let me share this little bit. So this whole thing, right, it felt suffocating and like, closed in, and like realizing all this yesterday, and I started crying, just realize, like, not being aware of how suffocated I felt. My soul felt suffocated. Like, it's quite, I'm just like, how did I not see it? Or how, you know, like, to feel the difference now, I was just like, oh my God, like, just crying with how much I didn't realize I felt like that or something. Like, I don't know how to describe it. And then when I was driving, so we're driving along these long stretches of road that just keep going. And, you know, like, and I said this to my mentor, I'm like, you know how I don't know, it's like a graphic, a movie, a video, you know, a film, whatever, that in, you know, like, you know how like a person or something disintegrates and like, it's almost like all these squares or ash, you know, like just disintegrates and the person just disintegrates. Like, you know how you've seen that in movies or whatever? Like, I'm driving along and like that was happening to me. And it was like all this like, I don't know, mold or black was just like out of my body. Like as I'm driving along and I'm just crying, just going, like it was intense, right? And I'm like, oh my God. Like, so anyway, I'm kind of super, you know, I know we'll just be here for a week or two. And I know I'll be showing the next step after that, but yeah. Anyway, let me check these comments. So, okay, Tamsin says, know where I went today, an island called Holy Island. I checked the tide times at last minute and got guided to go. Yes, yes, you have to trust these things, right? The warrior Sana dude on the beach was telling you your wave was coming to ride it. Thank you, Dana Murder. I was like, what the fuck is it? It's coming. It is coming. Time to go. Did I know where I was going to go? I was always coming to Broken Hill. Yeah, I was always coming to my dad's. Like, that was the destination for now. I don't know where to from here. Maybe we'll end up going back to the coast. I don't know yet, right? Your time was done there. Yeah, it fully feels that. So Christine says, I feel like that in our house now as well. It feels heavy. Yeah, and it makes me wonder if it's the coast. Like, you know, and I've said before in Trust Intuition, you know, and this is something for you guys to really take note of, that we have to remember the land mass that we are also sitting on, right? Because it's like, you know, and I know too, like when I said you know, from Roma to Charleville, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. I was getting it wrong so much the other day. Like, and I said we'd stepped out of that low pressure system, you know, in the whole of southeast Queensland there. Was it that, or was it the earth underneath, right? Go on, go this way. Stop walking through that cord. Can you please? She's not listening. Okay. Let's just give her freedom. So, when, you know, like, it's so important, like, because when we feel stuff all the time, right? Like, when we look at that whole, especially where I live on the Sunshine Coast, it's swampland. Like, majority of the Sunshine Coast is built on swamp. Especially where I live in Watala, it's swampland. Like, and I feel like that was a big part of me getting out of there. I'm like, that much rain, cyclones haven't even hit yet, and there's already been that much rain. Still the entire week next week, it's like all this rain. I'm like, it's not that, like, so, like I said, something bad's gonna happen to everyone. I mean, like, there's a lot of water, right? And when it's like built on swampland and the coast, and when you think about, like, so you've got the ocean, right? And then you've got the land mass, and, you know, like what? So the land mass would, you know, so you got the beach and then it's ocean. So like what, the land mass would go like this into Australia, right? So it's like flat land. But, you know, when you think about, what is it, like the shelf underneath, right? So, you know, when you're, you know, right on the coastline, the ocean's quite, you know, like it's quite there sort of thing, right? And it's all swampy and stuff. It might seem solid, but like I said, most of Sunshine Coast is built on swampland. Now, when I was driving, and even out here, like in the middle of Australia, it's quite thick underneath compared to on the coast. So maybe that's why I feel better. I know I felt this same feeling yesterday, last time, like when I traveled out here as well, literally like coming, you know, off that edge of the coast, I don't know, whatever, right? But it's really important to, you know, like just know when you're feeling in your intuition, and you're like, this is what I teach in Trust Intuition, to check all the energies. You know, I always say, I'm like, check the moon cycle. What's the moon doing? Are there earthquakes and volcanoes in neighboring countries? Like, what's going on around you? But also check the land mass underneath you, right? And when we look at what I just said, and the whole of the Sunshine Coast majority, there's big chunks of the Sunshine Coast that are built on swampland. My Watala being one of them, right? Like that whole Curramundi Lake Reserve, you can see it on the maps, a massive big, you know, reserve, because it's freaking swampland. Like, I don't know, they probably can't build on that. Like, maybe it's protected, but maybe they just can't freaking build on it, right? Like, it's really important to, you know what's underneath you, if what you're feeling as well, because when you think about how much water is now on the Sunshine Coast, or even like that whole East Coast, inland as well, right? So on the floodplains on the other side of like the mountain ranges, that's all floodplains. That normally floods, that's normal. But when you think about how much water is there and underneath and on top, like, it's gonna feel pretty heavy, right? We haven't had rain for a long time, and so now it's all filling up, right? So yeah, just check in with that, right? As well, Christine, of where that heaviness is, you know, feeling. So it was just time for you to expand. Yes, exactly, yes. So Janaea says, I get that too. For me, it's a disconnection with the earth, which my soul grieves. I feel disconnected from the natural world in a house. Yes, that too. That too. It is just a start. I know I can feel it. I didn't move per se. I've just come to stay out of my dad's. My intuition just told me to leave for a while because of the storms. I don't know. I feel like it's more than that. But yeah. I'm not sure when you joined, Sarah, but maybe just if you didn't watch the start, maybe you can watch the start. But because I explained it all. I haven't moved. I still technically live there. But I just packed everything up to go on a road trip for now. Tess says feeling grounded, secure, solid. Yeah, exactly. See, it might not be it might not be anything, you know what I mean? Like my feeling with that. So, and Amanda says, when she says, like, my house is built on swampland, I think that's why I can never get a good energy feeling in my house. Plus, it's so old, I want new. Yeah, exactly right. And I just want to point out, this is where I'm saying my house is old, weatherboard, it's tin roof. If a category 4 actually hit the coast, so you know how close I live to the beach, yeah, I'm not going to hang around to see if it's going to stay on or not, right? The past couple of storms, I've been like, and you know how I said too, like December last year, I got hail there. We never have hail. Like, we never. I've been in that house for 8 years. I've never had hail in all the storms and everything. And at the time, I felt like that was Mother Nature saying to me, don't pray for rain. Don't do anything. I got this. Like, and I was like, yep, cool. Just, you got it. I don't need to support you in any way about it. Mother Nature's got it, right? And then with this happening, I'm like, oh, that was like almost the warning sign too, to, you know, get out. But I want to say too, Amanda, when you say about that, my house is built on swampland, you know, and you guys in Trust Intuition will know, because I've spoken about this so many times, when we're working on our intuition and our internal compass, if you've got the internal compass and you've watched those videos that we'll also share in there, with that internal compass, it's like when you look at that, it's, you know, like the below point is obviously below you in the earth. So when we're working on our own energy field and our suburb and our house and, you know, expanding that out, it's literally like the earth beneath as well. Like it's beneath us. And again, if you're in Trust Intuition, you know how many times I've said living in that house where for a long time there's like this big blob of energy, black energy under my house, not necessarily directly under my house, but under the whole chunk of land in Watala there, right? And I've done a lot of energy work over the years, and even there was points where I broke down in Trust Intuition crying because I'm like, you know, I got the message that the freaking fuel bowser on the main road was leaking in the earth, which was leaking into the water, which is, you know, and I was just like, like, how does anyone fix that? And I'm like, how many petrol tanks are there in the entire world that could have hairline fracture cracks and leak? Like, do you know what I mean? I was like, Anyway. Maybe they don't, but I was like getting a sense, and then I was just like, okay, so I did a lot of energy work, but it was, you know, it's kind of still been there, you know, it's like gone away and then come back, and I'm like, maybe it is the swamp stuff, like, I don't know. That's where all my illnesses started, in that house too. Well, honestly, like, you know, people say like on ley lines, or there's certain things that cross the lands, like, you know, it's even like in Byron Bay and stuff, like, you know, the indigenous never stayed there because the power and energy was so strong there with all the black obsidian shelves and, you know, off the coast in the ocean and all that stuff, that, you know, that's why they say people go a bit, you know, like loopy there, because the energy is so strong. But the indigenous went there for healing and then they'd leave again. They'd never stay there. Like, do you know what I mean? So yeah, I feel so much better already being out of there, but yeah, there's a lot going on there, that's for sure. All right, is there anything else that I had to share about this? So, not that I can think of. So, like I said, it's not like, it's bad and people are gonna die and stuff. It's not that. I feel like this is more about my journey and my expansion and my soul expansion. It's been hairy and big for me to trust my intuition in such a big way, but at the same time, it's like, of course, yeah. It's been, yeah, a big journey for sure. Yep, I felt better when I moved to other places. Yeah, makes a difference, right? Makes a difference. All right, so I'm going to jump off this live stream. Thank you very much for listening. I'm sure I'll keep you updated, and of course, keep checking out my stories because you'll see kangaroos and all sorts of jazz being out here in the bush. Actually feel good to be out here for however long my intuition tells me, and then wherever we're going to go, whether it's back to the coast or I don't know yet, we'll soon find out. But right now I'm grounded, I'm fully back on deck, so I'll be answering your messages and everything, getting back on top of everything today. So thank you for your patience and for listening, and I hope this has helped you to trust your intuition in any way, shape or form without having any evidence, because like I said, it was 3 weeks of big stuff before any of that, any confirmation came. So yeah, so thanks so much guys, I love you heaps. And if you haven't downloaded A Conversation with the Archangels, you can find that. I'll just pop that in the link in the comments now too. If you need to soothe your soul and remember to come back to center and balance and trust intuition, even when the sun's shining, even when people are telling you you're crazy for packing up your house and getting in the car and getting out of there, well, you need to trust intuition anyway. And A Conversation with the Archangels can help you with that. It is an 1.5 hour long audio. Yes, it's very long, but there are 16 Archangel messages that want to and need to flow through in that space to be able to help you to align, trust your intuition, and follow your heart and life purpose. So I shall see you very soon with updates, and I will get to all your comments and messages in the next day, and tomorrow I'm sure I'll catch up by then. So I love you guys.